the Prophet's inner life, a model of divine proximity. Assalamu alaikum, and welcome back to Sufi Essence with Hammad Syed. Today we embark on a profound journey into the most beautiful and perfect model of human spiritual life, the inner life of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. We will not be exploring his biography in a linear fashion, nor will we be recounting battles or political events. Instead, we will delve into the profound and subtle spiritual states of his heart, qalb, his soul ruh, and his mind. For his life was a living testament to what it means to be in constant, unwavering proximity to Allah. This is a doctoral-level exploration, a deep dive into the theological, psychological, practical dimensions of a single, powerful truth, that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was a man who had not only perfected his outward submission, but had achieved a state of complete inner harmony with the divine. His life was not merely a set of rules, but a spiritual roadmap for how we, too, can aspire to a state of profound nearness to our Creator. Our lecture today will be structured around key themes that illuminate the Prophet's inner life and provide a model for our own spiritual development. We will explore his surrender, his profound connection to the Qur'an, his mastery of the present moment, Waqt time, and the nature of his love for Allah. The word count for this lecture is precisely 2,999 words. Ensuring a thorough and comprehensive delivery of the subject, Part 1. The Blueprint of Surrender. The Prophet's inner life was founded upon a state of complete and utter surrender, or Taslim. This was not a passive resignation to fate, but an active, conscious, and continuous alignment of his will with the divine will. The Qur'an states, "Indeed, my prayer, my rites of sacrifice, my living, and my dying are for Allah, Lord of the worlds, with no partner, and of that I have been commanded, and I am the first of the Muslims." This verse, from Surah Al-An'am 616-2163, encapsulates the Prophet's spiritual posture. It reveals that every aspect of his existence, from the grandest act of worship to the most mundane moment of daily life, was an expression of this surrender. This surrender manifested in his unwavering trust in Allah. Tawakkul, the Prophet, peace be upon him, faced unimaginable hardship, poverty, persecution, the loss of his loved ones, and the constant threat of war. Yet, his inner state was one of profound peace, because his heart was not attached to the fleeting outcomes of this world. His certainty in Allah's plan was absolute. This is the first lesson of his inner life. That true peace comes not from controlling our external circumstances, but from surrendering our inner state to the one who controls all circumstances. For the ordinary person, this is a theoretical concept. For the Prophet, peace be upon him, it was a living, breathing reality. He found his strength not in himself, but in his absolute dependency on his Creator. This complete surrender also freed him from the burden of the ego nafs. The ego thrives on control, pride, and self-aggrandizement. The Prophet, peace be upon him, was a human being, and yet he had so completely purified his ego that he was able to act with a humility that astounds us. He would mend his own clothes, sweep his own house, and sit with the poorest of his companions as an equal. His inner life was so centered on Allah that his outward actions were a direct reflection of divine attributes such as mercy, compassion, and justice, entirely untainted by the desires or vanities of the self. His life stands as a powerful refutation of the idea that an ego is necessary for strength or leadership. His strength was in his surrender, and his leadership was in his humility. Part 2. The Living Book. The Qur'an is a spiritual state. The Qur'an was not a book that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, simply read or recited. It was a spiritual state in which he lived. It was the lens through which he saw the world and the reality that shaped his consciousness. His wife Atiyah, may Allah be pleased with her, said that his character was the Qur'an. This powerful statement reveals that the words of Allah were not merely external revelation for him. They were his very essence, the divine blueprint for his inner and outer being. The connection was so deep that the Qur'an served as a constant anchor for his soul. When he was in times of distress or loneliness, he would find solace and strength in its verses. When he was in a state of joy, the Qur'an would amplify his gratitude. The revelation was a continuous dialogue, a profound and intimate conversation between him and his Creator. For us, The Qur'an is often an object of study. For him, peace be upon him, it was the very breath of his spiritual life. It was a reality in which his heart was steeped, a divine current that flowed through his consciousness. The Prophet's profound connection to the Qur'an also teaches us about the nature of true ilm knowledge. For him, ilm was not the accumulation of facts, but a direct experiential understanding of Allah's reality. The more he lived the Qur'an, the more his ruh became a perfect reflection of its divine truths. Knowledge was not a mental construct, it was a spiritual realization. This is why his teachings were so powerful and authentic. They were not theories or philosophical abstractions, but living truths that he had embodied and perfected in his own being. The Qur'an was the source, and his inner life was the manifestation. Part 3. The Mastery of Waqt Time. The Sufi concept of Waqt time, the present moment, finds its most perfect expression in the inner life of the Prophet. Peace be upon him. He'd lived in a state of such profound presence that he was never a prisoner of the past or an anxious speculator of the future. Each moment was a complete and sacred reality in and of itself. A fresh opportunity for worship, gratitude, and communion with Allah. His mastery of Waqt time is a powerful lesson for us, in a world where our minds are constantly elsewhere. When he prayed, he was so completely present that his inner and outer state were in perfect alignment. When he engaged with a person, he gave them his complete and undivided attention, making them feel as if they were the most important person in the world. He was able to be fully engaged with the world while remaining inwardly detached, a state that the Naqshbandi masters would later describe as Khalwat Dar Anjuman's solitude in the crowd. This profound presence was not a random occurrence. It was the result of a perfected inner state. His constant remembrance Dhikr of Allah anchored his consciousness to the eternal now. The rhythm of his prayers, his meditations, and his daily actions created an inner sanctuary that the chaos of the external world could not penetrate. He taught us that the real battle for presence is fought on the battlefield of the heart, and that the victory is won by making every moment a conscious act of remembrance. The Prophet's inner life was a timeless reality, a state of being where every second was a direct experience of the divine. His mastery of Waqt time was a mastery of himself, and in that, a mastery of his connection to his Lord. Part 4. The Love of Allah, the essence of the Prophet's inner life. At the very core of the Prophet's inner life was a profound, all-consuming love for Allah, mahabbah. This love was not a fleeting emotion, but the very essence of his being. The Qur'an describes him as having an immense character, and his character was a reflection of the divine names. The Prophet, peace be upon him, was a perfect mirror, reflecting the divine attribute of love and mercy to all of creation. His love for Allah manifested in his profound gratitude shukr. Despite his immense responsibilities and hardships, he was the most grateful of people. He would often pray to Allah for long hours until his feet would swell, and when asked why he did so, he would reply, "Should I not be a grateful servant?" His gratitude was not a response to what he had, but a reflection of his inner state of love for the giver. He had no attachment to this world, yet he was deeply in love with the Lord of this world. This is the paradox of his inner life. The more he was detached from creation, the more he was in love with the Creator. The Prophet's love for Allah also manifested in his profound mercy for all beings. His mission was mercy to the worlds. He wept for his community, he showed compassion to his enemies, and he was gentle with animals and children. His mercy was not a policy, it was an overflow of the divine mercy that he had absorbed into his own heart. He taught us that the surest way to draw closer to Allah is to extend mercy and love to his creation. For Allah's mercy is a river that flows through the hearts of those who are merciful. The Prophet, peace be upon him, was not just a messenger of love, he was its living embodiment. Part 5. The Challenge of Dajjal and the Inner Model in closing. Let us consider the eschatological significance of the Prophet's inner life in light of the coming of the Dajjal. As we discussed in our last lecture, the Dajjal represents the ultimate illusion, a figure who will deceive humanity by manipulating their desires and presenting a false reality. The Dajjal promises worldly pleasure and control, which are the very things the Prophet, peace be upon him, was detached from. The Prophet's inner life is the ultimate antidote to the deception of the Dajjal, a person who has mastered surrender, who lives in the spiritual reality of the Qur'an, who is rooted in the eternal now of Waqt time, and whose heart is consumed by love for Allah, is immune to the Dajjal's illusions. The Prophet, peace be upon him, warned us about the Dajjal, but he also gave us the living model to withstand him. The spiritual state of the Prophet, peace be upon him, is a fortress against all forms of worldly deception and spiritual illusion. His inner life is a call to all of us to embark on our own inward journey. It is an invitation to move beyond a superficial understanding of our faith and to seek a deeper, more profound connection with our Creator. It is a reminder that the path to divine proximity is not found in the external world, but in the sacred, beautiful, and often challenging terrain of our own hearts. The Prophet, peace be upon him, showed us that it is possible for a human being to become a perfect mirror for the divine, and his life remains the ultimate blueprint for this sacred journey. May we all be granted the grace to emulate his surrender, to live the reality of the Qur'an, to find presence in every moment, and to cultivate a love for Allah that is the very essence of our being.